As you know, I think the entire Jewish opus is a hologram. And it doesn't matter where you get in or how small your opening, you're going to receive the entire Jewish opus, however you approach it. Let's say you start with the first letter of the Torah, the letter Bet. Quite frankly, that's all you need. My whole concept of two-ness in the Torah is the development of the letter Bet. Let's not forget that the letter Bet is the number 2. Aleph is 1, and then Bet is 2. And so our entire Torah is an expression of two-ness. This comes down later on is when God creates male and female. He created them, created male and female. As expressed in the prologue of the Zohar, this also could be applied to the two tefillin. The tefillin of the head being the male, and the tefillin of the hand being Malchus and the female. And so again, this male and female, the kind of like the 6 aspects of the male, 6 days of the week, and then the Shabbos is the female, Zir Anpin is the male, and Nekuva or Malchus or as the female, as a second part. This lower part, of course, rises and becomes a crown to the male part, but that's a whole other story. My mitzvah was and is tefillin. So my two-ness really comes from that. There are 2 shins on the tefillin of the head itself. And in the way I do it, I have a double dalet on the back of the tefillin knot. So everything is two-ness as expressed in the letter Bet. What I'm trying to show here is a reduction to a simplicity. That's what I'm more interested in. I'm not interested here to prove the details, but a reduction into a simplicity. What's the underlying motivational simplicity within the structure of the Torah? Is there a non-included middle, rather, should I say, an included middle, rather than an excluded middle between the two? This is for you to find out in your own development. But what I wanted to express here is a reduction to simplicity, and I was going to give a short introduction that's taken a little long. But what I want to do is reduce everything to one day. I think a person should be and have one day, and then repeat that one day, ad infinitum. And that to me is Olam Haba and the continuum. Personally, it's also the eternal return. So the concept of one day to me, and that's the only day that I have, and this is the only speech I'm ever going to make. There is no past and no future, and if there's no past and no future, there's no present. Because this one day for me is the only day. It's not even present. I'm not living in the moment. It's my only living. It's beyond time. The way is to get out of time. And so this This one day, I'm born into it in the morning when I rise. I have this one day to elevate my own self, to do everything for me, to live as an example. The greatest teaching is by example, not as a teacher, but as a doer, as a player. And let others then watch. Watch how I tie my own shoes. And then emulate that. Greatest teaching is in silence. And so I'm born into that day. I have activity, and then that night, I go to sleep, and sleep is 1/60th death, and I've died. In going to sleep, or in fainting, or things like that, that's the same as death. So you do know how you're going to feel when you're dead. You're going to be asleep. The body is dead when you're asleep, and the consciousness goes someplace else. We'll talk about this in future times, but what I wanted to stress in these couple of moments is that I want people to do an appraisal at night. Did they do, during that day, things that were beneficial for their consciousness? Or were they a wage slave? Did you do things today that were beneficial for your consciousness? Because you're going to die when you go to sleep, and you're going to wake up to the same day tomorrow. And I want you to proceed with things that are beneficial for your consciousness. And then that night, before you go to sleep, you question yourself again. Did I do things today that were beneficial for my consciousness? And that's how you proceed. And each day is a repetition of the last. And you're supposed to do things that are beneficial for you. Prayers, elevation of your levels, study, mitzvot, things that elevate you, so that your day is spent in the best possible way it could be. For those who can't do this, or for those who are not Jewish, they can't get to the same levels. But you do it according to your level of consciousness and soul level. And that's the way you spend one day. And when you wake up again tomorrow, you do the same thing. You elevate your own level like a candle, and a sun and a light beam out. Let others see you, or even if they don't see you, your effect will be felt in universe. And this is my methodology for the individual day, which there is only one of, and then you repeat that. This is part of my hologram, because whichever way you enter in, you get a totality. So enter in one day, and you have the totality. Enter in the Torah in one letter, you have the totality. Enter the mitzvot, one, and you have the totality. And examine this and see if it doesn't work for you.